Hello everyone, my name is Jason, aka Bacon Chest, coach of the St Kilda Superiors. Welcome to week 1 of the MLBA Season 3 versus Hat and the Portland Trailblazers. So, this is a new league that we have joined. The system for drafting was a point style draft, as you might be able to tell from the squads on either side of your screen. Where, we had a points budget both for Mons and also for Z users, and Mons cost anything from like 1 point for just absolute trash, not fully evolved stuff, through to like, I think it was like 30 points or something. You could draft a variable amount of Mons, so anywhere between, I believe it was 8 and 12, although don't quote me on that, maybe an 8 and 11, who knows. Actually I can probably, no, it was 8 and 12, because you can actually see Hat's team has 12 Mons. And a bunch of Ubers were allowed, similarly to the ICBA. Just have some water. However, we elected not to draft any Ubers. I wanted to go for a relatively balanced team with a bunch of things that I thought were like reasonably priced, slash sometimes underpriced. So you can see that we have Tapu Koko, Salamence, Mega Tyranitar, Tangrowth, Starmie, regular Metagross, Piloswine, Infernape, Stoutland, and Crobat. With our Z users being Tapu Koko, Salamence, and Infernape, because, like, obviously, those are 3 very, very good Z users. While my opponent has an incredibly scary team. It's a mix of incredibly scary stuff and incredibly, not so scary stuff. So in the scary category, you have Blaziken Speed Boost, which just tears a hole through my team, tears a hole through most teams, frankly. Mega Absol is a big threat. Deoxy Speed, which, we've ourselves drafted in the ICBA D-League, is obviously a huge threat, and then you've got the Lord Delcatty with Z moves this time, so like even more terrifying. For anyone who's watched my previous match versus Hat in the Season 1 of ICBA D-League, go and watch that if you haven't. It was a very fun match, but also that thing is terrifying, and we'll say no more about it. But going into this match, I knew I didn't have a very good matchup going in. My team is not bulky enough to withstand, he's got, aside from those threats, he's got Swellow, Steelix, Minun, Tangela, Gliscor, Slurpuff, Frogadier, and Goodra, I think that covers everything. With the Z users being Frogadier, Goodra, Deoxy Speed, Minun, and Delcatty. But yeah, going into this game, I knew that this wasn't the best matchup, just because, my team is reasonably bulky and reasonably fast, but it's neither bulky enough to tank hits from things like Blaziken and Deoxys, nor is it fast enough to outspeed Blaziken and Deoxys. Those two are just huge threats, so it was a bit of a problem. But, in prep, what I did discover was that Adamant, 164 speed, Scarf, Crobat outsped literally everything. So this is a good response to +1 Blaziken, although obviously +2 Blaziken should outspeed us, depending on the amount of speed that he runs. I could have run more speed to make that more likely that we could outspeed +2, but it just wasn't really worth it. I would have probably had to run Jolly at that point. This at least lets us live some hits from some things. U-Turn, Brave Bird, Defog, Cross Poison. Cross Poison obviously to hit the Slurpuff if that did come, and try to like belly drum up on me. Because I believe we outspeed a +2 Slurpuff, if I'm not mistaken, depending on its spread. So yeah, that was another thing that this was able to check. Obviously, U-Turn for the Deoxys, Brave Bird for the Blaziken, U-Turn also just for momentum, and then Defog, like, just in case we wanted to get rocks off towards the end of the game. I then needed Starmie. This thing is another Blaziken check, because obviously it can tank a knockoff with the Colbur Berry, destroy him with Surf or Psyshock. Colbur Berry also potentially useful for living hit from Frogadier. And yeah, that was pretty, and like potentially a knockoff from Gliscor. As you can, or Deoxys as well. That was the other one. We've got the Signal Beam for Deoxys, and we have the Rapid Spin to get rid of hazards. If you look at Hat Squad, aside from Goodra and Tangela, there aren't really water type switch-ins. So I was kind of hoping to take advantage of that with this thing. Because, yeah, Modest, especially with Analytic, if he's forced to switch around a bunch, then we can just do huge chunks of damage. So that was kind of the goal, was to kind of punch holes with this thing. We then have a Yachi Berry DD Salamence. This is kind of not necessarily a sweeper, but potentially a breaker, although if we could potentially finish off the game with it, that would be nice. But the reason I say it's more of a breaker is that it doesn't actually outspeed Deoxys at +1, because that requires a ridiculous amount of speed investment. In fact, actually, I'm not even sure what 329, 330 would be. Yeah, no. 495. Yeah, no. We can't actually guarantee to outspeed a timid max speed Deoxys at +1. Like, he will outspeed us if he fully invests. So given that, I decided to just go for, like, what's that, 363? I don't actually know what that's for. Not sure. 360 something. That seems like it was a miscalculation on my part, because I don't know what that outspeeds, because it's not outspeeding a Mega Absol, which you would think I would have gone for. Sorry, this match was like over a week ago now, so I'm not quite sure, and I prepped this team very tired, as you will see in a second. But yeah, Crunch to hit Deoxys, Aquatail to hit Gliscor, and Dragon Claw to hit pretty much everything else. Aquatail also for the Steelix was the other thing. Because Steelix was a bit of a problem outside of Starmie. We then have a Tapu Koko with a physical Tapu Koko with U-Turn, Wild Charge, Brave Bird, Nature's Madness. Yeah, I'm really keen on this 363 speed tier. I just cannot for the life of me figure out what it is. Unless it's... No, I'm sorry. I just don't know. Potentially it's +1 Blaziken. That may actually be it. I think it might be +1 Blaziken. I don't know why I wasn't speed creeping Mega Absol. Apparently I just wasn't worried about it. But yeah, I suppose I would. Yeah, not sure. Anyway, so this set is reasonably good against my opponent's team. Nature's Madness, obviously just to kind of get chip off on things like the Goodra or the Steelix, while U-Turn, Wild Charge, Brave Bird hits mostly everything else. Brave Bird with the Flynium for Tangela, also to guarantee KOs on things like Blaziken, and, you know, to do reasonable damage to something like Gliscor. While, yeah, Wild Charge can potentially clean up depending on what is left late game. But yeah, this thing was just kind of there to hopefully break down a couple of threats, and, you know, put in some chip damage and outspeed most of my opponent's team. We then have this Metagross, which has no item, and has a 252 spread. This is what I mean by when I say I was really tired when I was prepping this team. Yeah, you can kind of see the premise here with Stealth Rock, Zen Headbutt, Bullet Punch, Ice Punch, because, you know, Zen Headbutt hits Blaziken, Ice Punch hits Gliscor, Bullet Punch is nice for Mega Absol and Deoxys, and Swallow, and then Rocks are nice to chip away at things like Swallow, Blaziken, Deoxys, Mega, yeah, like pretty much everything. But this really should have been a specially defensive, maybe an Ockerberry set, maybe a Colberberry set, something like that, or maybe even just an Assault Vest set without Rocks. Yeah, there were a lot of different options. I took none of them, so we'll see how that pans out in the game. And finally we have a Life Orb Infernape. This thing has a reasonably good time of it against my opponent's team. It can hit really hard with Mark Punch, obviously dealing huge damage to Mega Absol, dealing decent damage to Swallow. Obviously it can't do much to Deoxys, but I can, you know, potentially U-turn if I predict a switch into that thing. And yeah. Jolly is to outspeed. Yeah, I'm really struggling to figure out what I'm trying to... Oh, that, yeah, I believe is for the Frogadier. I think, yeah, no, that's definitely for Frogadier, because it's 322. Just to make sure we can, you know, close combat or U-turn on that thing. So, let's get into the game after that, you know, fairly uninspiring prep. So you can see that Hat decides to bring the Steelix, the Blaziken, the Deoxys, the Gliscor, the Mega Absol, and the Frogadier. So he's basically just bought 4 big offensive threats and then 2 ground types to keep Tapu Koko in check, because a Scarf Tapu Koko would otherwise have been a huge issue for this team. So I decide that leading off with Crobat is a good idea, because it matches up well against Blaziken, Deoxys, Frogadier, and Mega Absol. So we decide to go with that. Unfortunately, he decides to lead with Steelix, so I'm just going to go straight out into Starmie, predicting the rocks. And also because just this is my only thing that really offensively threatens that thing out. As he gets up the rocks, and I'm just going to click Surf straight away, because it's going to do a lot. Oh, sorry, no, I click Rapid Spin because I want to get rid of these rocks early game. As he clicks Earthquake, predicts that really nicely. I probably should have just clicked Surf, because to be honest, he doesn't have a switch in, and I don't really need to get rid of rocks in this game. So yeah, I didn't play with this Starmie very well, as we let it take 50%, which is really bad, because yeah, it's my one real way of threatening out this Steelix. As you can see, we click Surf, and Analytic Modest Surf just does 70% to his Frogadier, which is his only water resist on this squad. So yeah, probably we should have clicked that the first time. But yeah, we're able to get huge damage off the Frogadier. That's nice. We're now threatened out, so I'm going to go out into Infernape, because I know he's not going to click a water move right here. As he clicks the U-turn, obviously he's got the Protean, so it does a little bit of damage, gets into the Gliscor and gets his Toxic Orb, and I make a huge misplay here. I was kind of expecting him to click Toxic, or yeah, pretty much I just misplayed here. I just didn't think to go into Crobat, because realistically there's nothing this thing can do to hit Crobat. Crobat outspeeds everything, so even if he does click a U-turn, we're then able to click a U-turn of our own, or click a Brave Bird, or whatever. So yeah, we probably, I mean, if we go to Crobat, he clicks a U-turn, he goes out into Steelix, I guess, and then we're kind of stuck in a similar kind of shitty situation, but at least we could maybe go out into Salamence, we could maybe, you know, like, we could potentially threaten him with the Super Fang, something, but instead I make just, like, a really bizarre Brain Fade, frankly, and we go out into Starmie, and we get hit by a U-turn, and we die. And so not only do we lose Starmie, he also now gets momentum with U-turn, and is able to bring out whatever has the best neutral matchup against my team, which now that he's gotten rid of Starmie, is the Steelix. As I just decide to go for a close combat, because this is my only real way of hitting this thing, as he sets up his rocks, which, yeah, fair enough, because now I can't get rid of them, unless I had Defog on Salamence, which would be weird. Oh, or Defog on Koko, which would be less weird. I click Fire Punch the second time because it would have still have killed the Steelix, but he brings out the Gliscor, and this thing's going to be able to tank 2 Fire Punches with ease, particularly after a Protect, so we're going to have to let Infernape go down, because we don't really have an Earthquake switch in on this team, which is really unfortunate, and we kind of need Salamence to try and win this game, or at least try and put some offensive pressure back on. So yeah, we're now able to go to Salamence, because I can just click Aqua Tail here. I don't expect him to click Protect, because obviously I could Dragon Dance, and that would be terrible for him. So yeah, we're able to get rid of Gliscor, so that's nice. That's 1 ground type down, which potentially gives Tapu Koko somewhat of an opening if we can get rid of Steelix. I have no idea how we're going to get rid of Steelix, but we can try. Brings out the Deoxys. I'm expecting the Ice Beam, but I know I can live with the Yachi Berry. He actually goes for Ice Punch, so he's a physical set. But yeah, we take that really well. We're able to click Crunch. Unfortunately, he does have a bunch of bulk investment. He did not fall for the trap of making his Deoxys really fast. So whilst we are able to get good damage off, we then have to sack. We go Crobat here, and basically I have a really nice free U-turn here. He could go out into Steelix, but he decides to stay in thinking I'm not Scarf, but in fact I am. So yeah, we're able to get rid of that thing, so that's nice. That's another fast threat gone. As he brings out the Blaziken, and this is where I'd really love to be, you know, something on my Metagross, like Assault Vest, Berry, something, to be able to live a hit from this thing, because If we could have lived a hit here, we could click Zen Headbutt, get rid of the Blaziken, and then probably at that point, we still would have lost, I think, just because I just didn't really have a way of getting rid of this last 38% of health from Steelix. My Metagross doesn't have Earthquake, unless he'd, like, brought out Metagross, and then I'd been able to, like, I think I had Ice Punch, I was saying in the team builder, team building portion of this video, and then that probably would have put him in range of something from Crobat or Tapu Koko. So I suppose at that point, maybe we could have pulled something off, but as it stands, he just clicks Fire Blast, gets rid of Metagross, so down I go, which is a bit unfortunate. I bring out Crobat here, and I'm just like, well, unless he doesn't have Protect, which would be very bizarre, then we just lose right here. Because I'm going to click Brave Bird, he's going to click Protect, go to +2, and here's where Hat makes a little bit of an unnecessary play. I can't actually remember. I think he did post his set, and I think he actually did say that he would not have outsped me there. So, yeah, he sacks off the Frogadier, which makes sense, which lets him bring back out the Steelix, and now he just gets to click Heavy Slam into Earthquake, and I don't have anything for this. So yeah, not the best way to start off the season. We actually get 2 Brave Birds just because he did elect to switch, which if we'd had any kind of move on our Tapu Koko to hit a Steelix, that might have been helpful, but we do not. So yeah, I'm going to click my Z Brave Bird here, and he's going to finish off the game. But yeah, not the best way to start off the season. I was a bit hurried in terms of my prep, and also this was just a really, really tough matchup. Oh, actually, yeah, no, we did actually get another kill. We picked up the Absol because he was worried about me having something to hit the Steelix with. Potentially AZ move. I don't... Yeah, I mean, I suppose if I had something to hit the Steelix with, then... Yeah, then, I mean, it doesn't really matter, because at that point, Blaziken, would have been able to pick up the 1-0 pretty easily. But yeah, so we go down and Hat picks up a 2-0 victory, which probably should have been a 3-0 or 4-0, but that's nice. We get to like not go too badly on differential. Yeah, I was a bit hurried on this prep and a bit like scatterbrained, I would say. So that's a bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. We'll try and push back in week 2. You know, you got to give the owner of the league, which is Hat, you know, their early season win. Like, you know, you can't have them going winless in a season. But no, I think that Hat's team is going to be very, very tough to prep for, just because it does have a lot of variety, in terms of the weirder mons like Slurpuff and you know, Swellow and things like that. But like, just Deoxys and Blaziken, so hard to deal with, particularly Deoxys having the Z moves. So yeah, that's about it, and until next time, peace.